Previously on Umineko when they cry.
Oh shit, what is this?
凄まじい純度を持つ黄金のインゴットだよ。
Oh, what's this? What's that smell, y'all? I smell some bullshit. Cross has been a lying bitch. Cross has been a lying bitch.
And now back to the mystery.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Umineko When They Cry. Where we last left off, things got a little heavy ever since Malia found a letter that was supposedly addressed to everybody in the conference room, and it was by Beatrice. And she says, okay bitches, you solve my riddle now or I'm taking back the gold. And a lot worse shit can happen. Oh, goodness. And the rain is so bad outside that mostly the adults are going to stay in the mansion while the cousins are going to go back to their own rooms. But let's go ahead and get started and see where this is going to go, shall we? If we were right here.
Soりゃ本当かよ。そりゃ知らなかったぜ。
Is that for real? I had no clue.
バカ、声が大きいぜ。
Thomas, you're too loud.
マリアが起きちゃうだろ。
You'll wake up Malia. Or you'll wake Malia up. Battler was so surprised that he yelled obnoxiously and scattered his cards everywhere. His voice caused Malia to turn over once, but soon as she fell back into a deep sleep. Jessica gave him a jab, and he lowered his voice.
あ、いや、しかし言われてみれば確かにそれっぽい雰囲気はあったんだよな。
Still, seriously, now that you mention it, they really did have that kind of atmosphere, didn't they?
なるほどな。ジョージの兄貴がな。
Ah, now I see. So George Aniki is... George couldn't be seen anywhere in the room. A short while ago, when Shannon came into the room, George suddenly said that he had forgotten something in the mansion and needed to go back and get it. Shannon said that she would guide him, just like she said on the way to the guest house, and the two of them departed together.
いや、昔からそれっぽい気配はあったんだぜ。
Well, that's actually the sign of it for a while now.
好きなものを聞いてきたり、趣味を聞いてきたりさ。
You know, questions about hobbies and favorite things.
単に関心を持つだけにしてはどうもなんて思ってたらよ。
I always thought it was a bit much of a passing interest. And look what's happening now.
そういや、昔から上司の兄貴はシャノンちゃんにやたらと優しかった気がするぜ。
Come to think of it, I get the feeling George Aniki always been overly nice to Shannon-chan.
なるほどな。
Now I get it. Oh, what's happening? I think we know what this means if we kind of read the room. Or at least you could tell like how overly nice he is to Shannon during on the way to the when she first came to the guest house.
天気予報によると今夜が一番ひどいみたい。
According to the weather report, it looks like it'll be worse tonight.
明日いっぱいもやまないらしいけど、もう少しマシになるそうだよ。
It also seems it'll last all day tomorrow, though it should be getting a little bit better.
そうですか。
Really?
では 明後日までは船は来られないかもしれませんね。
Then maybe the boat won't arrive until the day after tomorrow.
ジョージ様の月曜日のお勤めに差し支えが出ないか心配です。
I hope that doesn't interfere with your work on Monday.
台風が来ていることは知っていたからね。
I already knew the typhoon would be coming beforehand.
万一に備えて月曜日には予定を入れなかったから大丈夫さ。
Just in case, I made sure that I didn't have any plans for Monday, so it's okay.
こう見えてもスケジュールは先読みできるタイプなんだ。
I may not look it, but I'm really the type who can plan ahead in his schedule. George puffed out his chest, acting proud. Compared to his calm appearance George always had as the oldest cousin, now he looked amusingly like a little kid. Oh? George like Shannon, George like Shannon. Sorry. I'll stop. Shannon chuckled at his abrupt contrast.
さすが。やがては会社を起こされる方はしっかりしていますね。
Ooh, this song is so fucking pretty. Can I say this game's fucking soundtrack is so fucking good? Trust me, later on in the stories, you guys are gonna be in love with the soundtrack. I mean, if you guys aren't ready already, god damn, it's so good. It's no surprise that you were so well prepared. As someone who will bring prosperity to his company someday.
やっぱり会社を起こすというのは大変だね。
Well, making a company prosper really is a tough job.
お金とかそういうのだけじゃないものが
Tough
とて
job.
も大事だって。
Money isn't the only thing that's important. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna reread that again. Money isn't the only thing that's important.
父さんのところで勉強していてわかるよ。
I learned that well when studying under my father.
会社を起こすということは城を持ち部下を率いるということ。
Making a company prosper is like owning a castle and leaving your subordinates.
うちの父さんは秀吉って名前だけあって戦国武将のエピソードがとても好きでね。
My dad really loves reading about the great leaders during the warring periods of Japan, a hobby that's probably influenced by the fact that he shares Toyotomi Hideyoshi's name.
会社経営の哲学をよくそこから語るんだ。
Did I read that right? I think I read that right. Sorry if I butchered that Japanese name wrong. I'm sorry. I try though. I try. Much of his philosophy on managing business comes from talking about them.
知ってるかい？
Did you know?
戦国最強の騎馬軍団と恐れられた武田信玄も最初は部下たちの結束がバラバラで統率力をまるで発揮できなかったんだそうだよ。
Takeda Shingen, who was feared as a leader, it was the strongest cavalry crops in the warring periods. Started out with his troops in complete disarray, and didn't have the kind of strong leadership necessary to utilize them well.
そうなんですか？
Is that true?
なんだか意外ですね。
That's a little unexpected.
信玄は部下たちを結束させるため数々のリーダーシップを発揮してるんだよ。
In order to unite his troops, Shinjin showed his excellent leadership in many ways.
例えば戦場で武功を立てた部下に対しすぐその場で褒章を与えたり、
For an example, when a soldier succeeded well in battle, he would immediately honor them with a medal.
普通こういうのは戦が終わってからまとめてやるものだからね。
Normally, they would that kind of thing was put off until after the war, and they were awarded at once.
それを 戦場の本陣の中にいながらまめにやり続け、
He continued this diligently while on the field of battle.
部下の武功を素早く評価し、やる気につなげたというのは非常に大きいことだよ。
And immediately showing his appreciation for his troops' military exploits motivated them in extremely significant fashion.
それから部下が病気で伏せった時には誰よりも早く駆けつけお見舞いをしたとかね。
Also, whenever one of his troops was brought down by an illness, he would be the first to rush up to them and care for them, and so on.
武田信玄は戦国最強の騎馬軍団を率いただけじゃない。
Takeda Shingen wasn't just the man who led the strongest cavalry corps in the warning period.
戦国一の部下思いの人だったんだよ。
Is it warring or like actually saying war, but saying warring? 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 I'm sorry if I'm butchering that wrong. It's like, I'm kind of reading it funny, because I never seen that being used. I mean, then again, I don't recognize it, so I don't know much about that. I mean, I know about the Fudo, Edo, unless they're the same thing, I don't know. I really don't know much about Japanese history. I just know a little bit from other media shows I watch. So if I'm saying that word wrong, I apologize again. Oh god, I'm already apologizing for shit I messed up because, hey, that's me, right? Oh goodness. He was the person who cared the most about his troops throughout the warring period.
そんな方だから部下の皆さんもついてきてくれたんですね。
And because he was that kind of person, all his troops went along with him. The truth was, Shannon had already heard this story several years ago. But whenever a discussion of his father led to this sort of topic, George always glowed and looked like he was having a great time. So Shannon just smiled without interrupting, urging him to continue. Aww.
確かに資本主義の世界ではお金は力で石垣の高さでもある。
Of course, in a capitalist world, money determines both your strength and the height of your own financials for what is that word? Sorry. I want to say that's finances because he's talking about money and stuff. I guess it's something to do with that.
でもね、戦も城も自分一人じゃ成り立たない。
But you can't build up a castle or succeed in war by yourself.
大勢の部下に支えられ、その力を借りて初めて成立するものなんだよ。
Such things can be accomplished with the support of many subordinates by borrowing their strength.
それを理解してから父さんの背中を見ると、自分がいかに未熟で。
After understanding this, when I looked at my father's back, I realized how immature I am.
父さんがどれほどの切磋琢磨をして今日を築き上げてきたかが
I can
よくわかるんだ。
I can clearly see how much competition he had to overcome before building up all his own now, all he has now.
ジョージ様はお父様のことをとても尊敬されているんですね。
George-sama, you truly look up to your father.
羨ましいです。
I'm jealous.
ごめん。別にそういう意味で言ったんじゃないんだよ。
Sorry, that's not how I meant it.
すみません。私も別にそういう意味で言ったつもりは。
I'm sorry. That's not how I meant it either. The two of them awkwardly looked at their feet. Aww. Shannon had no parents. She had been brought up in an orphanage owned by Kinzo called the Fukurin house. Fukuin. I hope I said that right. Under the guidance of Kinzo, their honorary director, the orphanage offered members who excellent a chance for on-the-job serving experience. If their efforts met with Kinzo's approve, they would be able to leave the orphanage and work as a servant for the Ushiromiya family. This is considered to be the highest honor for those who lived in the orphanage. Servants from the Rokkenjima house took names with the character on in them, as well as they served. Oh, like Shannon has Owen in her name. Cannon has Owen in his name. Okay. So they're all given these kind of names. So Shannon wasn't her real name. The same went for Cannon. All of the members in the Fukin house were orphans. At least they were all people who had been separated from their parents under special circumstances. Because of this, the orphans have been taught to think of each other as their own family. That's why it seems so natural for both of them when Cannon calls Shannon his sister. And while both Shannon and Cannon were working in the mansion today, there were several other servants possessing with the Owen character in their names, such as Manon and Linon, who often worked in rotation schedule. However, there were not as many servants who stayed with the Ushiromiya family for long. It was standard for them to quit after 3 years. So you could probably say that Shannon, who has been working for 10 years, was a noticeable exception to the rule. Working as a servant for the Ushiromiya family was a heavy burden to bear, but the pay wasn't bad at all. Working for full 3 years would even earn you more than what you needed to earn in the mainstream society. To enter mainstream society. That was why, even though the orphans realized what a harsh task working for the Ushiromiya family was, they still hoped to be accepted. Maybe the fact that Shannon managed to continue working for 10 years wasn't because she had more willpower than the other servants. Maybe she got stuck working for 10 years because she didn't have the courage to say she wanted to quit. Kinzo couldn't even trust his own blood relatives, and those excellent servants sent from the Fukin house were the only ones he could rely on. Because of that, Kinzo would sometimes allow them to wear the family crest as servants under his direct order and have them work close to him.
もう勤めて10年近くになるんだっけ?
You've been working here for almost 10 years now, right?
だいぶお金も貯まったんじゃないかい?
You must have saved up a lot of money by now.
どうでしょう。
I wonder.
別に私買いたいものも特にありませんし。
It's not like there's anything in particular I like to buy.
ほんの何百万かあったってそれで残りの人生を過ごせるわけもありませんし。
After all, a few million yen isn't enough to live off for the rest of your life. Jesus Christ, she has 1 million yen? Damn. Actually, what would that be in US dollars? Would 1 million yen equal to what? 500,000? Right? Is it 500,000? I'm kind of stupid with numbers, so forgive me if I'm getting that wrong. I might look that up later and probably put some text over the video of like how much that would be in US dollars. But damn, that's not bad. I mean, I guess you can't live on a few million forever. I don't think so anyway. Billion, maybe. like when they were talking about the gold and stuff, yeah, that would probably feed you for the rest of your life. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic.
目標の額があってお勤めを続けてるわけじゃないのかい？
So, the reason you've been working all this time wasn't to hit some target sum.
そうですね。
Yes, that's right.
私はこのお屋敷以外に行くあてもありませんし、
I have nowhere to go outside this mansion.
お嬢様とも他の使用人の子たちとも仲良くやれてますし。
I don't know about Natsui. Just saying, I don't know about Natsui. Then again, I don't know about the younger servants, but it's like, she could be saying that way she didn't have to worry about her. And I've been getting along with Milady and the other young servants.
奥様には時折お叱りを受けますけど、バラの世話やお屋敷のお掃除も楽しいですし。
The madame does scold me sometimes, but caring for the roses and cleaning the mansion is fun.
でもそれはシャノンちゃんの。
But that can't be your entire life, Shannon-chan.
サヨちゃんの人生じゃない。
No, Sayo-chan. Shannon cast her eyes downwards when she heard her real name. She understood what Georgie was trying to say and felt silent.
僕は成人し社会人になってからも勉強して分かったことがある。
There's something I've learned as I continue to study even after becoming an adult and a full-fledged member of society.
子供の頃僕らが思っていたほど人生は単調で短くないんだ。
A human life is not as monotonous or short as we thought we were as kids. All school-age kids have certain fears they can't shake. They wondered whether they'll live for the rest of their lives like little sleepy live the rest of their lives like sleepy classes after a monotonous and boring school day. Spending their time in carefree laziness without anything interesting happening until it's all over. However, life's only like that for underage students. Compared to a human's life, the time that we spend as students is nothing more than a blink of an eye, a period where they break through the shells of their immaturity. The inside of the shell might be a hot, suffocating, boring world, but the world beyond that shell is a vast and filled with limitless possibilities.
君の人生はまだシャノンという殻の中でしかないんだ。
So far, your life has been trapped inside the shell called Shannon.
君は自分の人生がこの生活のままずっと続いていくと勘違いしてるんじゃないかな。
I think you're under the mistaken impression that your life will continue to live like this forever.
それは
That's... Shannon couldn't deny those words. She had been unable to harbor any clear doubts about her lifestyle. And since she had never had any hopes or goals for changing herself, she lazily continued living the way she always had. And if asked whether this life was satisfying, she wouldn't have been able to nod. She may be intentionally averting her eyes from the truth. Without George and embellishments, she would have continued pretending to not notice her real life slipped away bit by bit, neglected. George-sama,
私は
is it
このままでいてはいけないのでしょうか。
wrong for me to continue living this way?
いけないよ。
Yeah, it is.
あ、それから今、ルール違反が一つあったね。
Oh, by the way, didn't you break one of our rules just now? George immediately gave a strict answer, and then broke out into a mischievous smile. There we go. I was gonna say maleficent. Fuck. Sorry. Shannon already knew what she had been sended for, and she hung her head again, apparently embarrassed.
僕たちしかいないときは、様はなしの約束だよ。
Didn't you promise not to use Sama when the two of us are alone?
約束では聞けません。
I couldn't obey that as a promise.
ですが、ご命令でしたら聞かないわけにはいきません。
But if it was an order, I would have obeyed it.
私は家具ですから。
Because I'm furniture.
じゃあ、命令だよ。
Then it's an order. Um.
はい、
Yes,
かしこまりました。
certainly.
ジョージさん。
Georgie-san? As Shannon hung her head, her face was red as she said George's name again, this time following it with a son. Aww.
それでいいよ、さやちゃん。
Yes, that's fine. Sayo-chan. Aww. George smiled at Shannon. No, Sayo, to praise her small act of bravery. This short exchange alone had made it clear how far back their relationship must have stretched. For a long while, the two talked as if the weather raging about them didn't even enter their thoughts. They talked about the many memories they built during their relationship that no one else knew about. Every once in a while, a flash of lightning would attempted to interrupt them, but this could excuse me. Sorry about that. But as this could solely neither the roses nor the time they spent blushing at each other. This is so fucking cute, and I love it. That's right.
君に見せたいものがあって。
I have something I wanted to show you.
なんでしょうか。
What could it be? George, who had speaking adequately, suddenly started to stutter. Watching him, Shannon seemed to guess something. George timidly searched through his pocket. Something got caught in the deeps of his pocket, and just as the stuttering George, it took a while to get it out. It was a very small box. A small box covered in deep blue velvet. This peculiar shape was enough to tell anyone what was resting inside. Oh my god! He's gonna propose! He's gonna propose! Ah, so cute! Shannon had prepared her heart somewhat, certain before that this was what he had been planning. But even so, when she actually saw it, she couldn't avoid blushing once more. George opened the small box, and took something out and held it out for Shannon to take. Oh, so cute!
これを君に受け取ってほしいんだ。
I want you to take this.
このような高価なものはそのお受け取りできません。
I couldn't accept something so valuable.
受け取れない。
You can't take it?
いえ
No.
そのこんなもの 私には
Unworthy.
過ぎていて
I'm such a faint. No, Shannon, no! No, you're not unworthy. No. You're a good girl. I promise you are. Aw,
さよ、
Sayo.
これはお願いじゃない。
This isn't a request. Ah!
命令だよ。
It's an order.
この指輪を受け取って。
Take this ring.
ね。
Okay?
命令では
If it's an order,
従わなくてはなりません。
I cannot disobey.
そうだね。
Yeah, that's right.
いい子だよ。
Well done. Oh, I gotta look at this. This is so cute. She's so adorable. I love it. I'm so happy for her. I don't care if they're fictional characters. I'm happy even to witness a proposal, and I'm just like, I would just be like standing behind one of the bushes watching. If it's like, if I overhear it, I would just turn around and look. But hi, too, and be like, oh, this is so cute. Sorry, I'm an idiot when it comes to romance. That's really one way to describe it. I'm a big fucking idiot when it comes to romance. Sorry. Shannon, not wanting to show her bright red face, timidly accepted the ring from George's hand while still staring at the ground. The ring wasn't a simple accessory. It was a noble object, meant since ancient times to be offered to a special woman under special circumstances. Therefore, while George could order her to take it, he could not order anything beyond that. Anything beyond that would depend not on an order, but on Shannon's, no, Seo's own will.
だから、ここからはもう命令じゃない。
So, from here on, I'm not ordering you anymore.
さよ、
Seo,
明日までに言葉でない形で返事がもらいたい。
I want you to give me your answer by tomorrow without using words.
わかるね。
Do you understand?
どうすれば
How should I?
もうこれ以上は命令じゃないから、僕は君に命令はしない。
I won't order you any further, so this isn't an order.
でも、指輪は指にするものだからね。
But a ring is something you put on your finger after all.
気に入ってくれたなら、好きな指につけてくれればいい。
If you like it, you can just put it on any finger you choose. Shannon had only pretended not to know. She had already understood what he wanted her to do. But she was standing on a huge crossroads of her life.
もうこんな時間だね。
Look how late it's gotten.
今夜はこれくらいにしよう。
Let's call it a day. George turned away from Shannon, acting just a bit bluntly.
君に左手につけてほしいと命令することもできるかもしれない。
I could probably order you to wear it on your left hand.
君も命令されればそれに従えるという臆病な甘えがあるかもしれない。
You might be timid and depending enough to obey to that kind of kind of an order.
でも最後のここだけは君の
But I want
さよの意志でしてもらいたいんだ。
But I want to at least this last step to be done by your own will, Seo.
わかるね。
Understand?
はい。
Yes.
だからそれが命令。
So, that's my order.
今夜よく考えて明日その返事を見せてほしい。
I want you to think about it well tonight and show me your answer tomorrow. Shannon nodded back. Today was the culmination of their many days spent together. This moment certainly hasn't come as a surprise to Shannon.
そろそろゲストハウスに戻ろうか。
We should be getting back to the guest house soon.
これ以上遅いとみんなを心配させちゃうよ。
If we take any longer, we'll make everyone worry about us. Sorry.
すみません。私、
Oh, I'm sorry.
そのお屋敷に用を思い出しまして。
I just remembered something I had to do in the mansion, so...
その、
Uh,
お屋敷へ行かねばなりません。
I had to go back to the mansion.
こんな時間に
At a time like this.
本当かな。
Is that true? George stared into Shannon's face as he laughed mischievously. He definitely saw through Shannon's lie. However, when he saw that how she felt, he could have sort of understand that she might be so embarrassed that she wanted to be alone. So, because George realized that meaning behind Shannon's lie, he accepted it. Oh, this is so cute. Oh. $11. Ooh, 1 hour till midnight. At least going by the big red vein, it feels like something's going to happen. Especially after receiving that letter from Beatrice. Shannon entered the entrance hall to the mansion with a tottering got it? I don't know what that means. A mixture of exhaled and uncertainty gave her a feeling that she couldn't easily describe. It swelled up in her chest until it felt like she was about to burst. After stopping for a second in front of the servant room to take a deep breath and calm her heart, she opened the door. Inside, Goda, who had been ordered to take care of the midnight shift at the mansion tonight, was absorbed in an worn-out crossword puzzle magazine. He looked up for an instant to see if it was one of the family who had come, but when he realized it was a fellow servant, he returned to his puzzle as if nothing had happened.
源氏様より郷田さんのお手伝いにつくように言われてまいりました。
Genshi-sama told me to come and help you.
ああ、そうですか。それは助かります。
Ah, is that so? That's a relief.
そろそろ戸締まりの見回りに行きたかったのですが、ここを開けてもいいものか困っていたのです。
You lazy piece of shit. You just want to sit there and do your dumb little crossword puzzle and make poor Shannon do all the work. And fuck you, Goda. I see you for your actions.
Still though, fuck you.
Okay, sorry. I was about to go check on the mansion was fully locked up. but I felt uneasy about leaving this room unmannered.
何しろ旦那様方の会合はまだだいぶ続きそうですからね。
After all, Cross-sama and the other meeting looks like as though it will continue for quite some time.
いつ何時お茶のご用命があるかもわかりませんし。
They might request some tea at any moment.
そうですよね。
That's true.
ではどうしましょうか。私が留守番を。
Then what should we do? Should I watch over?
Oh, sorry, that
で
was
はシャ
Maria's
ノン
voice.
さん、申し訳ありませんが、お屋敷内の見回りをお願いします。
Sorry, I was doing the Maria voice without realizing it. My bad. In that case, forgive me, Shannon-san, but I'll ask that you patrol the mansion.
私はここで親族の皆さんのご用命の待機をしておりますので。
I will stay here, awaiting the family's orders.
はい。
Yes. Shannon was slightly disgusted. Even though she come here to help as a favor, she was constantly being forced to do the job of the person actually on duty.
Yeah, fuck Goda.
Furthermore, after one-sidedly forcing that task on her, Goda returned to his magazine once again and became amused in his crossword puzzle.
Lazy bastard. Sorry. I'll stop. For now, anyway, until something happens.
Shannon bowed her head as a token of sign of respect for her elder, and then left the room to patrol the mansion. Thanks to her being a bit ticked off, she managed to suppress that floaty feeling she had been having until just now. Anyway, she couldn't just let Genji or Cannon see her look like this. She wanted a little time to herself until her heart calmed down. So maybe going on patrol wouldn't be so bad. She began to hear the very loud fucking voices. I think that's what it means, very loud voices of the family discussion coming from the dining hall. Someone was speaking at a great length, only to be interrupted by someone else. This second person also began to speak in a very long, drawn-out, old-fashioned fashion until yet another person interrupted. That kept on repeating. It was as though their displeasure was seeping throughout their voices. She had been told to go to the guest house, so it would be bad if Cross discovered her. Thinking this, Shannon dashed past the dining hall. Then she went along per ranging route through the dark mansion, checking that all the locks were secured. She walked down the hall, checking each window. There were no humans on Rokkenjima other than those connected to the family, so locking up didn't really serve much of a purpose. No one had been in the habit of locking up the Ushiromiya head family, at least not until Natsui has scolded them for being careless. The metal fixtures on the windows were ice cold, and as she checked them one by one, the glow in her heart seems to cool down. Oh.
Huh? What was that?
At that time, she had thought she was seeing something twinkling across the hall.
Twinkling?
How could anything be twinkling throughout the darkness of the hall? She figured she must have been imagining it, but she still held her breath. Grasping a curtain, she fearfully gazed down at the hall. However, other than the occasional crackle of thunder brightening the hallway, She was under to glimpse any flickering again. She was unable to glance. It must have been her imagination after all. Maybe her heart was so agitated that she seen something that didn't even exist. Shannon went back to checking the windows. However, a certain unnerving melody was restricted in the back of her mind. It was that ghost story, which had been passed down among the servants who served the Ushiromiya head family. The mansion had two different masters, one of the day and one of the night. Beatrice was the master of the night. The master of the night would sometimes fly around the mansion in the form of sparkling butterflies. That was the story. Come to think of it, didn't Kanekun once said he's seen it with his own eyes? Though he got sulky when I said he must have been imagining it and refused to believe him. Could it possibly be true? The roar of the thunder gave no answer.
Well, that was fucking creepy. If I were to see a butterfly in the hallways, I'd be like, I'm going the other way. Bye, bitch. Bye. I wouldn't walk towards it, that's for sure. Ooh, that's creepy. That's really creepy. That's so creepy. Holy shit, the way the bells chime. Oh, they're not saying anything. Okay. I guess it's just showing like where everybody is at right now. Which all the family members, the adults, are in the dining hall. Shannon's checking the windows. Goda's on his fucking magazine puzzles. Kanon's back at the other. Kanon and Genjin are still at the guest house in the other servant's room. Kumasawa-san, I think, is in the mansion, I think. I don't know where the fuck Nanjo is. And the cousins are back in the guest room playing cards. And Malia is sleeping on the bed. Oh, there's Kinzo. In his study. And there's the fucking portrait. Achievement. Midnight. Umineko. When they cry. Ooh, the transition changed a little instead of the breaking glass. Oh! It's midnight. Now it's 6 a.m. Yikes, a lot of hours have passed. Wonder if anybody went to bed. Second day, October 5th, 1986. But yeah, did anybody feel like, I don't like where the music's going? No? Because I sure didn't. Genji tightened his bow and his bow tie and looked outside through a crack in the curtains. Maybe the rain had died down a tiny bit since the previous night. But the thick rain clouds
didn't seem like they had been letting any trace of the morning sun get by. The morning was dim and far from refreshing.
やはり今日いっぱいはやみそうにないか。
It seems that this will last all day after all.
お待たせしました、源氏様。
Sorry to keep you waiting, Genji-sama. Cannon finished checking his appearance and exited the washroom. On their normal schedule, it was rare for anyone to have suffer going straight from a midnight shift to an early morning shift. They were on a special schedule for the 2 days of the family conference. However, unless the typhoon passed today, the relatives' stay on this island would last until tomorrow. Cannon thought it would be best to prepare for the special schedule to last an extra day. The two of them left the guest house, opening their umbrellas. The rose garden had been devastated by the winds and rain on the previous night. Even though they had spent several days making it beautiful to welcome the guests, one stormy night was enough to ruin it. Cannon sighed. The two of them head for the mansion. They were supposed to meet up with Goda and prepare breakfast. Goda was such a perfectionist that he probably already woken up and was probably already preparing breakfast as exquisite and elegant as glasswork. They reached the overhang by the entrance to the mansion and folded up their umbrellas. Genji took the umbrella, took a bunch of several keys from his pocket and unlocked the front door. The Ushiromiya family mansion was the only thing on Rokkenjima, so in the past they hadn't been having a habit of locking up. However, Natsui had ordered that the mansion be locked up from midnight to early morning. Ever since then, unlocking the door in early morning had become past the servants' morning shift. This task had been given to Genji and Cannon so that Goda could start preparing breakfast as soon as he woke up. Silence had fallen in the mansion, giving the impression that the mansion itself was still asleep.
では、朝の仕事を始めよう。
Well then, let's begin the morning chores.
はい。
Yes, sir.
The two of them split up and began opening the curtains throughout the mansion. If the curtains stayed closed, the mansion would remain enveloped in faint darkness, as though it was still trapped by the previous night.
I love that transition. Holy shit. That's actually really cool. It's like the whole lighting just makes a whole difference, at least after the windows lit up, and it just looks so much better. Maybe that's just me really liking the artwork in the game, but yeah. Okay, I'll shut the fuck up.
Following a well-rehearsed procedure, Cannon went around the mansion, opening the curtains for one window after another without having to retrace his steps once. Even with this horrible weather, drawing the curtains made it feel as just a little bit like morning. While doing that, he passed the front of the kitchen. Even though he hadn't smelled anything yet, his stomach started to ache for some of Goda's prized cooking.
おはようございます。
Good morning. He tried to greet Goda, who should have been getting breakfast ready, but Goda was nowhere to be seen. The kitchen was dark lit, and not only were the curtains not opened, but the fan wasn't even running. It was still cold, without any traces of a fire being lit, so of course there were no signs of breakfast being made either. Though it would have been inexcusable, perhaps Goda had overslept. Even servants are only human. They sometimes sleep in and show up late. In the rare case that such a thing happens, It's part of a servant's code to hide the unsightly scene before anyone could notice, smoothly covering it up. And make sure the family never realizes that anything has gone wrong. Cannon took the receiver of the phone that had been fitted to the wall and dialed the number for the extinction line in the servant's sleeping room. He couldn't hear the characteristic sounds of a dial tone. Cannon tried to pick up the receiver again, but even so, he couldn't hear the usual dial tone. He tried to dial again, but it had no apparent effect. Could the lightning last night have damaged some machine breaking the extension line? The equipment in this mansion was all worn out. Cannon fully understand that even the smallest thing could have caused it to break down. He gave up trying to awake Goda with the phone and dashed over to the servant's sleeping room.
Uh-oh.
How long has it been since I stopped sleeping and started lazing, staring up at the ceiling? That vague sense of awakening was part of Natsui's usual morning experience. She'd had always slept lightly, and she couldn't sleep at all without medicine. To Natsui, sleeping was definitely not a happy thing. She looked up outside. She saw that it was still pouring. She hadn't...
Sorry, my throat's a little dry. Hold on. I have a horrible habit of just keep going and going until my throat gets bad.
If she hadn't sensed a tiny amount of light, she might have mistaken it and thought it was still the previous night. She herself was one of the hostess, so she mustn't wake up later than her guests. Urging herself on, she raised up her body, which still hadn't completely recovered from yesterday's weariness. No one would torment her as long as she remained inside this room, and her headache wouldn't get any worse here. This room was the only place that she could find peace. So when she left, it meant returning to the world where her husband's siblings kept trying to stab each other in the back. In that case, wouldn't it be better just to stay locked up in this room forever? That ridiculous notion brought a bitter smile to Natsui's face. She was starting to sound like Kinzo. Though she often complained about Kinzo staying locked up in his own room, and refused to attend to everyone else, the truth was that she longed to do the same. Natsui gave her head a small shake, and her fantasy was replaced by reawakening of her usual headache. When she reached for the doorknob, she tried to leave the room. Her hand touched the scorpion charm that she had hung it from before going to sleep the previous night. It was Maria's charm, which Natsui had received from Jessica. Didn't Jessica say something about it having powers to repel magic, telling her to hang it from her doorknob? Maybe it was thanks to the charm that, at least in this room, had been protected from the malice of her husband's siblings. Sorry, I thought I heard something behind me. As she thought this, her mood began get a little more cheerful.
ジェシカのおかげで少しはゆっくり眠れたということかしら。
I wonder if I have Jessica to thank for this little bit of a peaceful sleep I managed to receive. Aww. Then Natsui remembered. That's right, last night I promised Jessica that I'd give her a charm of my own in exchange for this one, didn't I? Natsui opened a drawer on her dresser and took out an antique accessory case that she had treasured since she was a child. Inside, there was many small objects that Natsui had thought were valuable at the time. From the immense of those, she pulls out a red pouch. Inside was a small, round mirror about 10 centimeters across. It looked quite old, but the design on the back of the mirror was very ornate, and it felt like something with historical value. At the very least, it was much more authentic than the other charm, which looked like a plastic scorpion keychain. She had heard this was a spiritual mirror for warding off evil spirits, and she had been given it especially by her grandmother when her grandfather's mementos had been distributed. It had been believed since long ago that a strange power resonates in this mirror. Perhaps people thought it could reflect calamity and malice in the same way it reflected the light. Natsui returned the mirror to its pouch. It would probably be a fitting object to hand over to Jessica. Just as she was placing it in her pocket, the sound of someone knocking on the door suddenly echoed throughout the room.
Hi.
Yes.
おはようございます、奥様。源氏でございます。
Good morning, madam. It's Genji.
早朝から申し訳ございません。
My apologies for waking you so early.
今行きます。
I'm coming now.
何事ですか?
What is it? No servant has ever come to her this early in the morning, nor had they come to waken her in person. Perhaps something bad had happened. Maybe some fatal oversight had been made while preparing breakfast? Something that would shame the household in front of their guests. Natsui took a deep breath in anticipation for whatever troubles that she thought that she was about to hear of. When she opened the door, I like to stop while the sound effect is going. When she opened the door, Genji once again gave her a morning greeting while bowing deeply. Natsui tentatively responded.
おはようございます。
Good morning.
何かありましたか?
Did something happen?
申し訳ございません。
My apologies.
昨夜の落雷で電話機器に故障が出たようです。
It would seem that the telephones have been broken down due to the lightning last night.
内線電話が普通になっておりますもので、直接のお伺いになってしまったことをお許しください。
The extension's telephone isn't working, so please forgive my coming to see you directly.
内線電話が普通?
The extension telephone isn't working?
それは面倒になりましたね。
That will be troublesome.
修理は可能ですか?
Will it be possible to fix it?
残念ながら故障箇所がわかりません。
I'm afraid we don't know the location of the damage.
後で業者を呼んで修理させたいと思います。
Later on, I would like to call in an expert and have him repair it.
ということは、この台風が過ぎるまでは修理不能ということですか?
Does that mean we will be unable to have it repaired until after the typhoon passes?
つまり、客人たちの滞在中はずっと普通ということですね。
Then it will remain broken down for the duration of our guests' stay.
客人たちのお世話に支障は?
Will that hamper of ours affect to cares for our guests?
出ないよう最善を尽くします。
We will do all we can to ensure that there is no problems.
結構です。
Very well.
粗相のないようよろしく頼みます。
I'm counting on you to make sure we have no blunders. Natsui let out a small sigh of relief. She had been prepared for the worst, but damage to the telephones wasn't the kind of trouble she was worried about. Then again, even this would probably be enough to spark sarcasm from Eva. Natsui gave her head a light shake.
朝食の準備は順調ですか？
Are the preparations for breakfast proceeding well?
それがゴーダの姿が見えません。
As to that, we haven't been able to find Goda.
朝食の支度もまだ行われておらず。
The arrangements for breakfast have been yet to carry it out.
なんですって？
What did you say? Natsui was indignant. To her, oh, excuse me. Excuse me. To her, this was a much bigger problem than the phones not working. And despite that, this piece of information was a part that had been postponed. Why did everything go well most of the time and then come to something like this when the relatives were visiting? Honestly, me every day when Thanksgiving or Christmas happens. Natsui put her hand on her forehead and shook her head.
大方朝寝坊でもしているのでしょう。
Well, I suppose he slept in.
とにかく誰でもいいから急いで朝食の準備を。
At any rate, just see to it that someone hurries up and prepares breakfast. I don't care who. What? Natsui exited into the hall and turned around for a second to close the door to her room. The creepy thing she saw there silenced her completely. It was an unpleasant sight, as though someone had dripped their fingers in a reddish black liquid and scratched it at the door around the doorknob. It was probably some sort of awful prank, arranged by some person who wanted to make it look as though they tried to force the door open with bloody hands. What?
これは
What sort of prank is this?
何のいた悪趣味な。
How awful. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut off the voice acting.
私も今ここにお伺いして初めて気づきました。
I also just noticed it as I came to call you.
後ほど清掃いたします。
I will clean it later.
大方
Perhaps.
趣味の悪い客人の冗談でしょう。
This is a vulgar joke by one of the guests.
不愉快です。実に不愉快です。
Disgusting. Truly disgusting. Who in the world will pull such a childish and disgusting prank? Natsui had a pretty good idea, but of course there was no proof. She probably thinks that it was Eva. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt that bitch. So even if she was push the issue, it just would have seemed as though she was making a fuss about nothing. In fact, it would surely be better to act as though she hadn't even realized that such a prank had been played on her. Natsui gave the order to have it cleaned and headed off to the parlor with a squeak of her heels. When Natsui and Genji arrived in the parlor, Eva and Hideyoshi were already there.
おはようございます、皆さん。
Good morning, everyone.
おはよう、夏日さん。
Morning, Natsui-san.
朝食もゴーダさんが作るっちゅう話やないか。
I hear Goda-san will be making us breakfast too.
朝から胃袋が大喜びで騒ぎっぱなしなんや。
My stomach's been getting all excited since I woke up.
本家の楽しみは食事くらいがせいぜいですものね。
After all, it seems food is all you can look forward to at the head family household.
エヴァさんも朝からご機嫌がよろしいようで何よりです。
I am pleased to see that you two are in high spirits so early in the morning, Eva-san. With a wavery expression, Natsui returned Eva's gaze, which was fiercely competitive despite the early hour. Then Cannon jogged in. After bowing in an apology to the relatives for running inside the mansion, he noticed Genji and told him something in a small voice.
Kanon.
Goda
はまだ見つからないのですか?
You still have not found Goda?
申し訳ございません、奥様。
My apologies, madam.
お屋敷内もゲストハウスも回ったのですが。
I went over inside the mansion and the guest house.
まだ。
But I still haven't found him.
一体どこへ行ったというのです?
Where in the world has he gone?
とりあえず今はゴーダより朝食の準備が先決です。
At any rate, breakfast is a high priority than fighting Goda right now.
至急対応しなさい。
See to it immediately.
はい。
Yes. Cannon glanced at Genji. It seemed as though he had something else to report, but was uncertain whether or not the words should come from him. Genji nodded and decided to give the report himself.
奥様。
Madam,
ゴーダだけではありません。
it's not only Goda.
旦那様の姿もありません。
Your husband is also nowhere to be found. Oh?
主人が?
My husband?
はい。
Yes.
奥様より先に旦那様に朝食の準備がないことをご報告しようと思い、寝室をお伺いしたのですが、お姿がありませんでした。
Even before visiting you, I went to his room to tell him that breakfast wasn't being prepared, but I did not find him there.
それから旦那様だけではありません。
Furthermore, he is not the only one missing.
ルドルフ様ご夫妻とローザ様のお姿もありません。
Rudolph-sama, his wife, and Rosa-sama are nowhere to be found. Oh shit.
ゲストハウスにも?
Not in the guest house.
屋敷にもですか?
Nor the mansion?
はい。
Yes.
ゲストハウスの部屋にもおられません。
They were not in their rooms in the guest house either. When she heard that Goda alone was missing, she assumed that he had slept in or was loafing around somewhere. However, now that she learned that several of the relatives were also nowhere to be seen, she began to take a slightly more optimistic view. Could last night's family conference have continued all night, up until the present moment? If so, they might have wanted to cool their heads after being shut in a stuffy room, going out for walks on their own for the rain. That the part about cooling off their heads really sounded like something Cross would say. Goda had probably been summoned to accompany them and aid them in some way. Goda was not a man who lost track of time. He had understood that preparations for breakfast would be hindered if he did not return. However, maybe the family conference had continued until this very moment. With an atmosphere that would almost make it hard for anyone to slip out, yes, that theory would be quite convincing for Natsui. She remembered the illusion she felt that morning, as though the previous night had never ended. When she learned that feeling that wasn't just an illusion, she once again took a deep, wary breath. After all, that banquet of filthy vultures circling Kinzo's property was still going on.
大方、庭園のどこか、あるいは海岸の方で相も変わらず遺産の話を繰り返しているのでしょう。
Perhaps they are still discussing the inheritance somewhere in the garden, or maybe the beach.
とにかく、ゴーダを呼び戻さなくては、いつまでも朝食の準備が整いません。
At any rate, if we don't call Goda back, we'll never be able to begin preparations for breakfast.
ってことはなんや?
So what are you saying?
兄さんたちの話し合いはまだ続いとるんか?
Are Nisan and the rest still continuing their discussion?
She had planned to say it in a small voice, but Hideyoshi-san overheard Natsui and managed to grasp the situation.
兄さんもルドルフもタフね。
Nisan and Rudolph such are tough.
ローザの場合は若さかしら?
Maybe it's just youth in Rose's case.
私たち、夕べの24時過ぎにはもう眠くてベッドに戻らせてもらったんだけど。
Just a bit after midnight, the two of us were so tired that we headed back to bed.
確かにあの時点でも、まだ兄さんたちは熱論を交わしてたわ。
Though I do remember that Nisan and the rest were still having a heated discussion at that point.
男って熱くなると嫌ね。
Men are certainly unpleasant when they get all fired up.
Natsui snorted, and her face still blank.
カノン、表を探してらっしゃい。
Cannon, search outside.
ゴーダを見つけたら、すぐに戻って朝食の準備をするよう伝えなさい。
If you find Goda, tell him to return immediately and begin preparing breakfast.
かしこまりました。
Certainly.
夏日姉さん、表とは限らないわよ。
Natsui-ne-san, don't you know for sure that they're outside? We don't know for sure that they're outside, do we?
お父様の書斎ってことはないかしら?
Couldn't they also be inside Father's study?
なるほど。考えられん話やないで。
I see. That certainly is possible.
どういう話の流れかはわからんが。
I don't know what path their conversation took.
お父さんの主催に場所を移して、お父さんにも混じってもらって議論を続けてるっちゅう可能性は十分あるやろ。
But there's certainly a chance they move to their father's study and let them in and on the discussion.
そのような汚らわしい話題を好んで、お父様が書斎へ招き入れることなど考えられません。
I can't imagine that father would be willingly to let them in on such a distasteful topic into a study.
あらそう。
You really think so?
じゃあ仕方ないわね。
Well then, there's nothing we can do.
源氏さんとカノン君は申し訳ないけど、外を探してきてちょうだい。
I'm sorry, Genji-san, Cannon-kun, but could you search outside?
確かに兄さんなら、頭を冷やすために外を散歩しようなんて言い出しても不思議はないわ。
It wouldn't be that strange for Nissan to just suggest they go outside for a walk to cool their heads.
たとえこんな天気でもね。
Even in this weather.
私はお父様の書斎に行ってくるわ。
I'll go to father's study.
ひょっとするとそこにいるかもしれないしね。
Who knows? They may actually be there after all.
客人であるエヴァさんにそこまでのご足労はおかけできません。
Ava-san, I couldn't ask a guest like you to exert herself so.
私が行ってきます。
I will go.
朝のご挨拶も兼ねて。
I can also wish him a good morning while I'm at it.
あら、じゃあお願いするわね。
Oh, then I'll leave it in your hands.
でも朝の挨拶を交わしてくれるかは疑わしいわね。
Though I somehow doubt he'll be returning your greeting.
夏日姉さんってお父様とは仲よろしかったかしら?
Natsui-ne-san, have you always been on such good terms with father?
仲が良いかは分かりかねますが。
I don't know whether you could call it that.
後宮家の跡継ぎの妻を許されるだけの信頼を得ていると確信しています。
But I am sure that I have gained his trust as the wife of the successor of the Ushiromiya family.
なら、きっと返事くらいはしてくれるわね。
And then I'm sure he'll at least answer you, right?
お父様とは朝食くらいご一緒したいの。
I would like to at least have breakfast with father.
ぜひ降りてきてくださるよ。説得してくれないかしら？
Do you think you could convince him to come down and join us?
私たちはすっかり嫌われちゃってるみたいだけど、そこまで信頼を得ている夏日姉さんの言うことなら聞いてくれそうですもの。
It seems that he is thoroughly despise the rest of us. But I'm sure he'll listen to you if he trusts you that much.
そこまで短歌を切ってお父様を説得できず、一人で降りてきちゃったりしたら。
Ava's such a bitch. God damn. After speaking so boldly, if you were unable to convince father and come down alone,
信頼を得ているなんて二度と言えないかもね。
then I doubt you'll ever be able to claim that you've earned his trust again.
自信はありませんが、努力はします。
I am not confident, but I will try. Natsui responding, looking discouraged. However, knowing Kinzo's temper, she had absolutely no confidence in her ability to bring him out. Eva was clearly mocking her, confident that Natsui wouldn't be able to get Kinzo to come down. But even so, Natsui would lose face if she gave up, saying it was impossible and letting Eva go instead. Ava's mean-spirited and unreasonable demand that Natsui clenched her fist slightly. When Genji realized this, he spoke softly to her over her shoulder.
奥様
Madam,
よろしければこれをお持ちください
please take this, if you would.
それは
And this is... Genji handed Natsui a sparkling gold key of an ordinate design. It was the key to Kinzo's study. The study had an automatic lock and couldn't be unlocked as long as Kinzo forbade entrance. However, since Genji was especially trusted by Kinzo, he was allowed to carry the key to that door.
でもこの鍵を使ったら、あなたも咎めを受けるのではありませんか？
But if this key is used, won't you also receive the blame?
親方様は深くお休みになられている時扉を叩くくらいではお耳に届かないこともございます
Whenever the master is sleeping deeply, simply knocking on the door would not suffice.
それに親方様にお部屋を出ていただくよう説得するには
And it would be more
扉越しでは難しゅうございましょう
and it would be more difficult to persuade the master to leave his room if you must talk for the door.
ぜひお使いください
Please use this.
源氏
Genji. Until now, Natsui had thought of Genji as a cold servant who wouldn't do anything for her, since he worked directly under Kinzo. But it looked like she would have to alter her understanding of him. She wanted to communicate her gratitude, but by then Genji had already turned his back on her and was walking out of the corridor with Cannon. As Natsui watched them go, the words directed at her from behind were sneering.
じゃあお父様を必ず連れてきてね。
Well then, you must bring father with you, okay?
息子のかわいい嫁の言うことですもの。きっと聞いてくれるわよ。
After all, it's his son's precious wife who's asking. I'm sure he'll listen to you. Not really.
私たちは客人だから、ここでのんびりくつろがせてもらうわ。
We're guests, so we'll relax here at our leisure.
予算かエヴァ口が過ぎるで
Quit it, Ava. You're taking this too far.
すまんが夏日姉さん、お父さんのことをよろしく頼むわ。
Sorry, Natsui Ne-san, but we're counting on you to deal with father.
Not answering, Natsui forcibly spun around on her heels and quickly left that place. After all the excitement of the previous night, there was no way anyone would want to there's no way anyone was going to wake up early. George, Aniki, and Jessica and I were snoring loudly on the beds in the cousins' room. But Maria, who had gone straight to bed without joining in, was completely awake. As she rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked around, she met with a loud snoring of the other three cousins. For a while, Maria had to think about what had happened. After that, she realized that her mother wasn't with her, and she quickly got lonely. Maria left the cousins' room, trying to head to the room that had been arranged for her and her mother. Paying no heed to the three who were sleeping soundly, she slammed the door shut. In response, Battler mumbled and rolled over in his sleep, but it wasn't enough to wake him up. After a while, Maria returned, once again opened the door with a loud bang. Lively bang, sorry. When she had left the room, her face had been sleepy, but now that she was back, she looked irritated. After that, she climbed on Battler's bed, which had happened to be the closest, and she started yelling and jumping on it like it was a trampoline. Wake up! What? Is it an enemy raid? Surrounded them! After making sure I was awake, Maria moved over to George Aniki's bed and started jumping on that too. In that manner, the three of us were all greeted with an extremely pleasant awakening.
ありがとう、マリアちゃん。起こしてくれたんだね。
Thanks for waking us up, Maria-chan.
僕たちは夕べが遅かったから寝坊しちゃったのを起こしてくれたんだね。
You stopped us from sleeping in after that late night.
でも、もう少しだけ起こし方を優しくしてくれると完璧だったかな。
If only you could be a little bit more gentle about it.
ジョージ兄さんは本当に大人だよ。尊敬するぜ。
George Nissan, you're really an adult. I respect that. I would get pissed off as hell if someone woke me up like that. If like some little kid runs into the bed and starts like jumping up and down and screaming or yelling, I would get like so fucking pissed off. I'd probably take that little bitch and throw her out the window and go back to bed. Sorry, Monty is not a bitch, but it's like if you wake me up, I am a very, very, very angry bitch when I wake up in the mornings. Like, if I wake up at, like, 4 in the morning and I only had, like, maybe, like, 2 or 3 hours of sleep because my dumb ass stays up late. And then only to wake up at 4 a.m. by some little shit who couldn't find her mother. I would throw that bitch out the window. Sorry, Maria, I love you, but goddamn, if I were waking up that way. Nope.
もうすぐ7時なんだな。
It'll be 7 soon.
ま、確かにもう起きてもいい頃だぜ。
Well, at least it's not really a bad time to wake up.
ローザおばさんが
Aunt Rosa.
部屋にいなかったの？
She wasn't in her room?
もう起きてお屋敷の方に行っちゃったのかな。
I wonder if she's already woken up and gone to the mansion. Not here! Mama! God damn, so many oohings I'm gonna do.
I really can't do... I usually get annoyed after, like, it gets louder and louder, especially with headphones. Holy shit.
Maria kept groaning, ooh, ooh, and looked unhappy. Looking unhappy. She didn't exactly seem lonely because her mother wasn't around. It was more like she was irritated and thrown off balance because her mother wasn't where she expected. If we could just tell her where her mother was, that alone would probably calm her down. But unfortunately, we had no way of knowing where Aunt Rosa was, except that she wasn't here.
どうせ朝食に行くことになるんだし、屋敷の方に行こうぜ。
Anyway, it's time for breakfast, so let's head over to the mansion.
そうだな。
That's right.
マリア、一緒に屋敷へ行こうぜ。
Maria, let's go to the mansion together, okay?
きっとローザおばさんもそこさ。
I'm sure Aunt Rosa will be there too.
ママはお屋敷
Mama's in the mansion?
なら行く。
Then I'll go there. Ooh.
そうだね。お屋敷に行こうか。
Yeah, I guess we should go to the mansion.
多分親たちはもう向こうに行ってるんだよ。
Our parents had probably gone over there. Maria regained her usual composure so completely. Her early tantrum now seemed like a lie. We got dressed and left the room and headed for the mansion. Once more, there was a knocking sound on the study door, but there was no answer. He seemed to be sleeping still, and I could not wake him up. If she went back downstairs and said something like that, Ava would probably just be amused and triumph. Even putting Eva aside, it was problematic that Kinzo had stayed shut away during this entire once-in-a-year conference, and not even coming down to greet anyone. Even the head family, no, especially the head family, couldn't fail to make an appearance. I wonder if I can convince him myself. Natsui readied herself and used the key she borrowed from Genji to open the door. Even though she was prepared for the sweet stench, which seemed to eat into one's brain as it poured out of the crack of the door, she couldn't help but glimpse. I'm stupid. I can't read. Thinking that he might still be sleeping, Natsui entered the room quietly. When she did, Kinzo was already awake, looking down out of the window.
お目覚めでしたか。
So you're awake.
おはようございます。
Good morning.
どうやって入ったのか。
How did you get in? Kinzo spoke with his back still facing her. His voice was not harsh, but calm, and Natsui was slightly reassured. However, though he was awake, he wouldn't be able to ignore all that knocking if he was in a good mood. Natsui wasn't able to relax.
申し訳ございませんでした。
My sincere apologies.
源氏さんにお願いして 書斎の鍵をお借りさせていただきました。
I asked Genji-san, and he allowed me to borrow the key to the study.
ほう。
Oh,
源氏がか。
Genji did.
我が友がそれに足ると思ったならば、話を聞かぬわけにもいくまい。
If my friend thought it was that important, then I have no choice but to listen.
して、私に何用か。
So, what business do you have with me?
はい。
Well,
もうじき朝食の準備が整いますが、ぜひお父様にもおいでいただきたく思いまして。
breakfast will be ready soon, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would join us.
朝食はここでとる。
I will eat here.
いつものように運ばせるがいい。
Have it brought here like always.
しかしお父様。
But father,
年に一度の親族会議です。
this family conference happens only once a year.
せめてお顔をお見せになってください。
Please, at least let them see your face.
下に降りて。
Go back downstairs.
私の死後、遺産をどのように食いちぎるのかを決める議論に加われというのか。
Are you asking me to join in as they discuss how to chew up my inheritance after I die?
バカらしい。
How foolish.
そのような話は私を抜きで好きに進めるがいい。
Let them speak in such manners as much as they please without me.
そしてそれが親族会議だというなら、私がこの部屋を出るほどの価値はない。
And if that's what you call a family conference, it is hardly worth leaving my room for it.
私は忙しいのだ。
I am busy.
構うでない。
Do not bother me.
His last words carry the threat that any further questions would be not appreciated. Natsui realized that adding any further pleas would only finally bring his wrath down upon her. She didn't look forward to facing Eva's sarcasm, but there was nothing more that Natsui could do.
そうですか。
Is that so?
わかりました。
Understood.
みんな残念がるでしょうが、そう伝えます。
I am sure everyone will be sorry to hear it, but I will tell them. Natsui decided to give up. Bowing slightly, she tried to leave the room before Kinzo spasmodic temper could flare up. As she did, Kinzo spoke to her. His voice was so calm and gentle, as if it was from an entirely different person.
Natsuhi.
Natsui.
後ろ宮の家に嫁ぎ、もう随分になるな。
It has been quite some time since you married into the Ushiromiya family.
はい。
Yes.
後宮を名乗ることを許されてから、もう随分になります。
It has been many years since I was first permitted to bear the name Ushiromiya.
前の家が恋しくなることもあるか。
Do you sometimes long for your previous family?
いいえ。
No.
嫁ぐとは、生家を捨てることです。
Marriage means abandoning your birth family.
私は後宮夏日。
I am Ushiromiya Natsui.
帰る家も、懐かしむ家も、すべてはこの後宮の家のみです。
The Ushiromiya family is the only family I can come home to, the only one I am fond of. She truly wasn't exaggerating. Such a resolve that she felt whenever she applied the Ushiromiya family name to herself. And that's precisely why she was so saddened when her husband didn't treat her like an Ushiromiya, leaving her to race about in vain.
クラウスが女で。
If Kraus were a woman.
お前がその夫であったなら。
And you his husband.
いや、 それは言うまい。
No, I wouldn't say that.
それは
What do you mean
ど
by
ういう意味ですか？
What do you mean by that?
お父様。
Father. Natsui was shocked. If Kinzo's words just now were what they seemed, it would have been more than enough to make up for all that she suffered up until that point.
忘れよ。
Forget it.
年寄りのざれ言だ。
It is just nonsense of an old man.
Kinzo once again faced away from her. He told her to forget it, but Natsui can't help but feeling a warmth in her heart.
お父様。
Father.
この夏日は血はつながらずともお父様の娘です。
Even though I, Natsui, am not connected to you by blood, I am still your daughter.
後宮家の名誉も栄光も。
I will most certainly see to it.
そしてお父様が残されたものもすべて。
That your honor and glory, and everything you left behind,
この夏日が必ずや守ってみせますから。
are protected.
お前に片翼のわしをまとう資格はない。
You do not have the right to wear the one-winged eagle.
しかし、お前の心には確かに片翼のわしが刻まれている。
However, the one-winged eagle is surely engraved in your heart.
ならばお前は間違いなく我が血族で後宮家の栄光を引き継ぐものだ。
That is infallible proof that you are my blood relative, one who inherited the glory of the Ushiromiya family.
お前の衣服にわしがないことを嘲笑う者もいよう。
Some will sneer at that is no eagle on your clothes.
しかし、それに耳を貸すことはない。
But such words were not worth lending an ear to.
心にわしを持つ者だけが真の私の血族なのだ。
Only those who hold the eagle in their hearts are my true blood relatives.
Who are you? Where the fuck is the real Kinzo? Who the fuck is this? Didn't he not too long ago just pretty much shit talk everybody in this goddamn family? And now he's over here praising Natsui. The fuck is going on? Maybe he has a change of heart? Who knows?
お前を後宮家に迎えられたことを今は光栄に思っている。
I now consider it as an honor that you were welcome into the Ushiromiya family.
Without saying any more, Kinzo remained with his back to Natsui. However, Natsui couldn't help but feel something warm welled up inside her that she hadn't felt in such a long time, since long ago, when she had been just a child. Natsui bowed silently to his back and left the room.
あら、ちょうどいいタイミングだったわね。
Oh, this bitch. Okay. She was probably listening at the door. Ah, good timing.
お父様の様子はどう？
How is father?
あんまり遅いから様子を見に来ちゃったのよ。
You were taking so long, so I came to check.
When Natsui left the study, she saw Ava climbing the stairs.
Okay, she wasn't listening in. And their eyes met. Eva was smirking unpleasantly, thinking Natsui would leave dudgeonly after failing to convince Kinzo. However, the way Natsui was now, such a frivolous laugh would not disturb her. She was not permitted to wear the family crest on her clothing, but she was permitted to wear it in her heart. She spoke so calmly, clearly, and confidently, with the dignity of the one who protected the Ushiromiya family's glory.
お父様は 親族会議にはおいでにならないそうです。
Father said he would not be joining in the family conference.
汚らわしい議題に関心はないと仰せです。
He says he has no interest in discussing such obstinate matters.
とかなんとか言っちゃって。
I figured you would say something like that.
お父様を説得できなかったんなら素直にそう言えばいいじゃない。
If you failed to persuade father, just say so.
哀れですね。
How pitiful.
お父様が嘆かれるお気持ちも分かろうというものです。
I am beginning to see why father laminated it so.
それはどういう意味よ。
What do you mean by that?
Natsui did not answer.
You go, girl.
Just as Kinzo had done earlier, she shown Ava her back as she headed downstairs.
That a girl.
Fuck that bitch. Ava finally realized that she was being made fun of, that something had happened to quickly bolster Natsui's confidence. Even so, she apparently didn't have the courage to risk Kinzo's wrath. Unable to even knock on the door, she can only click her tongue and make a motion as though scratching at it and follow after Natsui.
それで兄さんたちはいたの？
So were Nissan and the rest there?
お父様に聞いたの？
Did you ask father about them?
聞きそびれましたが、書斎の中にはいませんでした。
I didn't get a chance to ask, but they were not inside the study.
お父様が夫たちの下船な話のために入室を許すこともありえませんから。 行き先を知ることもないでしょう。
Father would never let them into his room to discuss such lowly topics. It is unlikable he knows where they are or they went.
下に降りて使用人たちが探してくれるのを待ちましょう。
Let us go downstairs and wait for the servants to return from their search.
朝食は遅れますが、お茶でもいかがです？エヴァさん。
Breakfast may be late, but how would you like some tea, Eva-san?
別に結構よ。
That would be fine. Ava couldn't hide her confusion at the complete differences in Natsui's attitude. She was acting so boldly, and while Ava hated to admit it, she even sensed a sense of dignity about her. Unable to find fault with anything, Ava could only follow Natsui back to the parlor.
Yeah, shower over your enemy with kindness. That's one way to piss them off.
Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to watch me play this game and others on my live stream, be sure to check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/thepenguinpoet7. I go live every Wednesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, this is the Penguin Poet, and I'll see you next time.